What has changed so much about election days in terms of how we used to cover it as a newspaper and how we now cover it as a multimedia organization is that in the old days there were long hours of nothing to do because you really were just sort of waiting for the end result. So there'd be a flurry of activity in the evening and then you put out the newspaper for the next morning and that was it. Now we're hitting the ground the minute the sun comes up and it's getting it on the iPad, getting it online, getting it on mobile, thinking ahead to print, and so it's just sort of constant. It has to have much more of a rhythm to it. We're trying to reach our audience at a lot of different levels, and they're just assuming we're going to be there, and they've got a right to make that assumption. We've got to meet that expectation.
All right, so, well, I'm going to go vote, and I vote at the Village Hall in Whitefish Bay, where we live. And then after that, I want to talk to a few voters at the polls there. You know, I get a thrill just by being a part of the process, and it's exciting to see people coming and exercising their rights. And the difference this year, I think, is that this is now will be the 7th statewide election that we've been through in the state of Wisconsin, not counting 13 recalls of state senators. So we've just been on this sort of bitter partisan path now. Well, what issues in this election do you think are most important?
Definitely health care for women. Definitely.
Okay.
I'm making a list of places that I want to get to today. I want to make sure that there are several places that I want to get to this morning. One of the places I want to go right now, perhaps, is the Atkinson Library.
Haynes didn't have no
First time voting?
Yes.
Except you voted in the recall election? So what brought you out today?
To vote for Obama, of course.
To vote for Obama? So I'm going to use my cell phone to take a picture of you while you're voting. As a reporter, you get to be part of what is so critical and essential to everybody else, and to hear and to talk to them about this important moment in their lives. So it's just fun.
Hey Gina, I just forwarded you something on the MLK school again.
Well, we just got a report that the lines are really long at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School and that somebody had actually fainted after waiting in line and the paramedics were coming, so I think it's about time to go over there and check it out. So have extra volunteers had to come in?
There was extra volunteers that have come in.
Do you know how many volunteers are here?
No, I don't.
So I went over to the school, and as fate would have it, Common Council President Willie Haynes was there. So I talked with him, and I talked to some election observers and got the lowdown about what had happened and the improvements that had been made over the past several hours. Then I tweeted a picture from there of some of the long lines, and then came back here and wrote a posting for the blog about it.
So I can just pop that into my blog.
You just put it on and make it clear that it could change after that. Okay. I think we're set.
Craig Gilbert is key for us because of his blog that he does, Wisconsin Voter, and he's so tied to what's happening among voters, what's happened in the past, what the voting trends are, what that means, and try to give us a little analysis so that our coverage isn't just he said, she said among the candidates throughout, but there's some depth to it. On top of that, our Politifact team is examining what the candidates are saying.
Politifact is the fact-checking operation of the Journal Sentinel, where we take individual statements politicians or groups make and try to break them apart and analyze them so readers can understand what's true and what's false. You know, we look at it and say our job isn't to please these politicians. Our job is to inform our readers. And they turn to us, and the phone calls I really love to get are the ones where someone says, you know, thanks for doing that. I didn't understand that issue until you put it out there. And that's where the best parts of the day come in.
So that's Tammy number 2. Should be popping into Monona shortly. One thing that's really changed, our lives as photojournalists is when we've made the transition from film to digital. Before, we may actually have a darkroom set up in a bathroom. We'd be processing film in a bathroom sink, sending it as quickly as it could back to the office. You're looking at 30 minutes easily just for a black and white photo.
Tommy and I didn't always agree with that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Every
great job,
4 years.
everybody.
Thank you.
I think tonight was a really good night. One of our key goals heading in was to give people a sense that we were kind of everywhere. And I think we achieved that. When you look online, if you were following us on social media, when you look at our tablet, ultimately when you look in print, I think it gives people the sense that we were in their neighborhood. We were in places that they recognize. We were with them. We weren't just reporting from some distant location.
Well, we thought this might be an extremely close election, like we had in 2000, but it turned out not to be. The latest polls, which we had received a lot of criticism for publishing, turned out to be very accurate.
As with any election night, there's going to be things that don't go as well. And tonight we didn't get races called as quickly as I had hoped, and we're going to have to reassess how we get that information. But that's always the case on these nights. There's some wins and some losses, and you just hope there's a lot more wins, and there certainly were tonight. And so I go home feeling pretty good about what we did.
Craig, we'll do this again some other time.
There's something incredibly exciting and special about Election Day. It's different than any other day in the newsroom, from the energy of people have when they walk in the newsroom first thing in the morning because they know that people are voting and finally the game has begun. And the coverage then, everybody, it's all hands on deck, from the copy editors being part of it, from a reporter being out at covering an event, a party, seeing who wins, who loses. Just that energy is just something different. There's no other day like it in a newsroom.